I flew all the way to Switzerland to talk to an expert about why I should de-Google my life. And honestly, I think he explains it best.
The physical manifestation of Google would be a person that follows you around, records everywhere you've been, records all your conversations. If Google was a physical person, you would have shot that guy years ago, right?
Yeah. That is Andy Yen, founder and CEO of a company called Proton. And what he said might sound extreme, but it's really not that far from the truth. Last year, Google paid out $1 billion to settle claims that they were illegally tracking your location, your private searches, your voice print, and your face data. Basically everything that makes you, you. So if all of that is true, why did we ever start using Google in the first place?
Back in 2014, if you wanted to have an existence online, the deal you have to make is, I'm gonna give up my most intimate, sensitive, confidential, private information forever. All that information is connected to your Google account, which is your Gmail. And I thought, man, this is an incredibly deal.
That is what Andy and Proton have been pushing back against for more than a decade. You shouldn't have to give your life to Silicon Valley just to exist online. But that being said, is the answer to this problem really another tech company? Andy, thank you for being here first and foremost.
Of course.
It's huge that we're here right now.
Yeah.
I remember Pierogi approached me with the idea of wanting to do this Scammer Payback podcast. I used to be an editor for the channel. And they said, hey, do you want to do this podcast?
Yeah.
I said, sure, yeah, I'd love to talk to people in the space. And they said, well, come up with a list of who are your top dream guests? And the first two people that came to mind were Meredith Whitaker from Signal and you from Proton. And so the fact that we're even here right now is very surreal for me because it's like I'm checking off something on my bucket list. So I really do appreciate you hanging out with us.
And thanks for taking the trip out here. I know it's quite far all the way out to Geneva.
Yeah, but listen, it's beautiful out here. We've had a great time exploring the city and
we're just
getting to see some of the
slumming
sights.
it up in Geneva.
Yeah,
Switzerland.
Honestly, it is so beautiful out here. And everyone has been so amazing and kind, and especially the Proton team. And I'm like, when I start to get vibes where I'm like, oh, I would love to live out here. This is so nice. I know I'm having a wonderful time. So thank you for being so hospitable, and the whole team. You have an amazing team of people. So,
well, we're glad that you're here, and we're glad we get a chance to chat and explore these really cool topics that we have planned for today.
For sure.
Well, before we get too deep into anything, I do have one favor to ask you. Okay, so my father-in-law, so my wife's dad, is the biggest Proton fan of all time. So I'm getting actually a lot of points being here, sitting and talking to you, just so you know. I'm getting in good with the in-laws. And he did have one request from me, was to see if you would sign something, just to get an autograph from you. Okay, all right, cool.
What do you want me to sign?
Just sign.
Wow,
sign
this is
a piece of paper? Yeah. Is this going to be used in a scam somewhere?
No, I promise. It's going straight to my father-in-law. He's just a huge fan of Proton.
to steal his identity.
Yeah, and we got it. Yeah. No, he was just a huge fan, and we were together at Christmas, and he was like, "You're going to Proton?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm interviewing the CEO."
Let me write him a note.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Let's
here.
go.
I don't have to get him a Christmas present for the next 10 years.
I actually have
this.
a question while you're signing that, Andy, because I know you guys do a bunch of things within your platform of software.
Yeah.
Do you officially go by because I know some people call you Proton VPN, or is it just simply Proton? What do you like being called the most, your company being called? Is it just Proton VPN? What is it?
We've always gone by Proton, but I think a lot of the audience just goes by their favorite product.
Sure.
So they might say Proton Pass, Proton Mail, Proton VPN, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I have the experience oftentimes where I say, I work at a company called Proton. And they say, oh, what's that? I say, oh, it's a Proton Mail, Proton VPN. They say, oh, okay, I know what it is.
Right, exactly.
Yes. So we go by Proton, but I don't think the world goes by Proton yet.
Yeah.
And we hope to change that in the future.
That's 100% a great point, where people, they tie whatever their favorite part of it is to that. And so yes, if you hear us say Proton, it is that Proton you're thinking about, whether it's VPN or email or whatever. So
it's whichever one is your favorite.
Yes.
Just know that we're also talking about it.
Correct.
We call it Proton because they're all our favorite.
Andy was naming off everything, and that was pretty much check mark. We use it. So.
Speaking of products that we need to use, we need to get on the Proton Meet beta. Because our manager set up a meeting on Zoom, and we were like, hold on, no. We got to get on Proton Meet. This is not. So we'll have to see if we can get in on that.
Yes.
We're pretty close to getting it out.
Okay, so then there we go. Yes.
It might not even be beta for that much longer.
Right.
But,
There you go.
yes,
Let the folks at night know
we're working
that,
on it.
that we're getting on Proton Meet from now on.
Okay. Yes.
There's no more Zoom meetings.
Only because I use the calendar, so
Yeah.
it'll be nice.
It's built
to
in.
Just
It's integrated.
Yeah. See? Perfect.
Easy peasy.
We're gonna, get into what you're building here at Proton and, the whole idea of this suite that's gonna allow you to de-Google your life. But before we get too into the weeds of things, I want to ask you very simply, why should anybody listening out there right now care about their personal privacy?
I think it's because today your data, once it goes out there, doesn't belong to you anymore. It belongs to the tech companies and whoever happens to control those tech companies. And in this case, it's often the U.S. government or the Chinese government. Those are the big tech giants of the world. And if you don't have end-to-end encryption, if you don't have a mathematical guarantee that the data is yours, you're just permanently giving it out to whoever is controlling those platforms. And this is really a loss of our personal identity. Our data is who we are. It's who I've met, who I traveled, who I've bought, even maybe what political party I support. It's everything. And that is something I don't think we should freely give away to people that don't have our best interests at heart. So that's why I think you should care. And if you think, I'm not worried about my government, I trust my government. Well, you know what? Governments change. Elections, have consequences. Things happen. And I prefer to be in a world where no matter what happens in the world out there, my data belongs to me, and encryption allows me to do that.
I'm curious if your background growing up in Taiwan shaped a lot of your views on how privacy and democracy kind of work together. Is that something that you think about a lot?
It is, because growing up in Taiwan, you see China next door. But what we also saw, in addition to China, was Hong Kong. How it went from a free society to basically a dictatorship in the span of a couple months, in fact, in 2020. And what I think that shows is, democracy, freedom are fragile. And we need to always take, I think, efforts to protect our own data, because you cannot depend on your government to protect you. You got to take personal responsibility. And this is something that I think in Taiwan, you realize that this is kind of important. You realize that, without privacy, there's no freedom of speech. Without freedom of speech, there is no democracy. And without democracy, there's no freedom. So privacy really is the building block of our democracy. And it's worth protecting, even in the 21st century.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. I mean, you ended up leaving Taiwan. You studied in America at Caltech and at Harvard, and you had a degree in physics and economics. It's an interesting background for someone that eventually becomes a tech CEO. How do you see the work that you were doing before, in your graduate degrees and at CERN? How is it related to what you're doing now?
Well, the joke I always make is, if I had studied business, I probably wouldn't have been so stupid to start this company, because you had to be pretty, dumb to try this business back in 2014.
Yeah.
And there was no business plan. There was no business model back then. But had we thought it through, the reality of what we were trying to achieve is we're trying to get people to pay for a service that the world's biggest tech companies give away for free. And we're trying to compete with them and survive. That was, I think, if you ask like an MBA student, like a Harvard MBA, they would have said, yeah, this is really dumb. Don't do that. But I was not in the MBA program. I was in the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, a PhD major, no business background. So I think sometimes being outside of the business field can be a strength, because you go and do things that the traditional orthodoxy would say you can never do. And that is oftentimes how new ideas come into the field. And that also is something that stays in Proton today. I think here in Geneva, probably a third of the engineering staff actually come from CERN. It's not the typical place you go to hire engineering talent, but it allows us to do things differently, because we bring in different perspectives that purely tech and business organizations may not have. So I think it's definitely some cases of weakness. We're not maybe the strongest sales and marketing org, but on other things, it can be a strength. And I think when it comes to building great products, having thinkers that come from a science background that really can think about the user as opposed to business outcomes, that actually is better because you build better products. And in the long run, actually better products also translate to better business outcomes. But it's just, let's say, a less direct path to success.
It kind of reminds me of the way that we built our team out at Scammer Payback, just from even like a creative standpoint, because a lot of the people that we hire, like one of the first questions that we ask is like, well, how much YouTube do you watch? Because you find that a lot of the people that watch YouTube understand how to make good content at their core, in the same way that people that work at CERN understand, this is a problem and I'm a problem solver. So you can build out a team that maybe isn't the most technically qualified in sales, but cares about the people that are using the product.
Yes. And also it allows you to solve the problems that sometimes people don't think can be solved. And you have to sort of be a little bit ignorant, a little bit stupid sometimes to go and solve these problems and even try these problems. But then you go in and you find out, actually, this is a solvable problem. This is something that you can actually do, but people just didn't think about to try.
Well, speaking of solving problems, let's talk about the very first problem that Proton tried to solve with Proton Mail. So, Andy, take me back to like 2013. You're at CERN. What was the catalyst for you going, we need to create Proton Mail?
It wasn't really just like one event. People always think that startups are, there was some great idea like Newton get hit with the apple, right? but that's generally not how innovation works. It's not really, people also think, to be innovative, you need time to think. But if you put someone in a room and ask them to think for an hour and they're not a creative person, they don't have, natural curiosity, they won't think about anything, right? Yeah. So it's not like any one event. It was really, I think, a product of the environment in which we were all in. Number one, it's CERN. CERN is, everybody knows it for particle physics. A lot of people also saw it because it was in the Da Vinci Code, right? That was kind of when it became popular, I suppose. But CERN, a lot of people don't realize, but now that you visited, maybe is also where the World Wide Web was invented.
Yes.
So the modern internet economy based off the web, that all started in a particle physics lab on the outskirts of Geneva, middle of nowhere, right? There's literally farms around it and grassland. Wow. So that's an environment where you have people who are thinking about the web, the implications of the future technology. It's someplace that technology is really at the heart of everything that is done at CERN, in fact. Now, what happened also in 2013 was that was also the era of the Snowden leaks. So that was when the idea of mass surveillance really got out into the world. Now, Snowden, of course, told us what the NSA and other security agencies around the world are collecting. But that is really a tiny amount of information compared to what Google has. Like if I were to get my NSA file and compare that with the amount of data that Google might have on me, I think the NSA file is probably like 1% of what Google has. So the realization of Snowden was, okay, he introduced the world to mass surveillance, but he also sort of made me realize that actually it's the corporate surveillance that is a lot more insidious and a lot more powerful than actually what the governments have. And the corporations, in many regards, are an extension of the government. So that was a much bigger problem to solve. And back in 2014, if you wanted to have an existent online, you have to make really kind of a really bad deal. The deal you have to make is, I'm going to have an email, online identity, and an account to exist on the internet. And in exchange, I'm going to give up my most intimate, sensitive, confidential, private information in perpetuity, forever. And I'm never going to be able to get that back. And I'm going to consent to let that it being used to profile me, to send me ads, to abuse my privacy, and to show me information that can be used to influence me in ways that are not in my favor. That was a deal. And I thought, man, this is an incredibly shit deal.
I agree.
And maybe we can find an alternative way of doing things online where you don't have to take that bargain in order to live an existence on the internet.
I think about this a lot. Even like you're downloading an app. Let's not even like trashing Google here, but it's like you're downloading an app and then you're giving your rights away pretty much on every app that you even use. Nobody ever reads any of this stuff because it's like the tax code in the US. It's like 10 million pages because nobody wants to read it. So it's so confusing. You just pay it.
Yeah.
And it's like, this thing is they call it a click-through agreement or whatever. There's nothing click-through on this when you're scrolling through all these pages where you're giving your device away and your data away. So,
and this is really interesting because actually I find it amazing that fundamentally Google runs a business based off of deception. Their bet is that you're not going to read that terms and condition. And in the case of like, let's say, mobile devices, Apple and Google, you go out there and you buy an iPhone. And then you open the iPhone, the first thing it asks you to do is, accept terms and conditions. I mean, are you actually going to return this phone?
yeah, right.
Just paid for it.
And not accept, right? Yeah. You got no choice.
Yeah.
But it's not actual consent because, one part of consent is being informed. And I don't think any consumer is actually informed when they have, quote unquote, consented to any of this stuff. So it's incredible that you can get to the type of scale on a business model that's completely dependent on people not reading, because if people actually read in any of that stuff, they would never agree to it.
Yeah.
Is that why you think people are less in tune with the idea of corporate capitalist surveillance as opposed to government surveillance? Because government surveillance is so easy to explain to yourself. It's like, oh, it's the government. Obviously, they have all my information. But the reality of corporate surveillance is that we are really just opting into it without knowing because we're not reading the stuff.
No, I think it's the difference between the physical world and the digital world. And I'll give you an example. The physical manifestation of Google would be a person that follows you around, records everywhere you've been, records all your conversations, and is videotaping all your interactions with everybody. It's a bit like being on YouTube, actually,
so
right?
funny.
I was going to say, it's a bit like my job with him is what you're describing. I'm your Google.
Right? But this is Google.
That's so funny.
If Google was a physical person, you would have shot that guy years ago, right?
Who's this guy driving home, following me home?
Right? In America, you'll pull out a gun and shoot that guy, right?
Yeah.
But on the internet, you don't see the person, so he's like, it's not there. But he is there.
Yeah. Constantly following you around.
Question then, kind of follow up on that. Do they disclose like how much data they, as far as from like a storage standpoint? Hey, we've got 4 terabytes of data on you, or we have a petabyte of data on you. Like, do they have to disclose any of that?
Well, they're not required to disclose it to you, but now because of GDPR in Europe, you can actually request it. So you can actually request like a dump of your data, and if you do it, for some viewers out there, if they have some free time, like if you do it, it's quite fascinating.
Yeah. Could you just request like, hey, I just want like a full reset. Just remove everything. Remove all my data. I want to start fresh.
So I don't know if that's possible in the US, but in Europe, now you can. Now there's a right to be forgotten, and you can actually request that. So it's possible in Europe, but the US doesn't really. You guys aren't very good at getting laws passed in the US. So
it takes a while. It would take forever to get GDPR passed.
Can you imagine our Congress having the battle, trying to talk? I was talking with somebody over dinner about this. Our lovely Congress. Trying to battle about technology.
Yeah,
and talk about technology.
The other night we were talking about the hearings with the TikTok CEO and Zuckerberg and all these tech folks, and they always come out and they're asking the worst questions because they're so out of touch. Dude, if we tried to do right to forget, they'd be like, I forgot you already. Right now, I'm afraid I don't know who you are.
Not my name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I think the problem with politics is always that the people in power. First of all, they're old. Which doesn't really help. Number 2, almost none of them come from a tech or scientific background. And these are the people that are supposed to be, regulating the tech industry. So the tech industry is literally running circles around them.
100%.
And so I don't know how to fix a problem. I think we need more tech people to actually get into politics. But if you look at politics, who in the right mind would want to get into that? So this is
it's like the opposite of a good idea.
I think one of the points that you were making earlier, we have to take back control of our own privacy, for instance. Like you can't have a bunch of politicians that don't understand tech regulate it first off. So then it comes back to us. So we have to control our own destiny. And we have to utilize technology in the correct way to make sure we are protected because they are not going to protect us.
Yes, exactly.
So it's
exactly.
No one to take back control.
Yeah, no one is going to regulate the problem away for you.
Yeah,
right. It's unless you do it yourself, you have no privacy.
Right. Yes.
And that's where stuff like Proton Mail comes in, right?
Love it.
Yeah, love it. It's great.
Love it.
Can you explain for somebody that's never used Proton Mail before, how does it work and how is it different from a Gmail?
Well, a lot of people think about it as it's a more private version of Gmail. which it is, right? But I think that is sort of just scratching the surface of what it actually represents. Because what is Gmail actually? Gmail, I would argue, is actually Google's most valuable product. They'll never tell you that, but it actually is. Why? Because Gmail is your Google account. And what is Google account? That is the one thing that you're always logged into. And because you're logged in, your activity across all Google properties can be linked to your profile. But not just that. It's all the sites that run Google Ads, all the sites with Google Analytics. We're talking probably at this point 70, 80% of the web. All that information is connected to your Google account, which is your Gmail. So when you decide to go from Gmail to using Proton Mail, actually what you're doing is you're saying, I want to opt out of all of that. If I'm not logged into Google and I'm logged into Proton Mail instead, you know what? You just disappeared from Google. There's no more profile in which they can use to track you across the web. So the notion of identity is email. And email is not just a communication tool, but it's actually your identity. And what you're saying is, I'm not going to allow Google to have my ID online, and I'm going to liberate my ID from Google's ecosystem. So that is actually the real power of Proton Mail.
So when I send an email on Proton Mail to somebody else that's using Proton, can you just explain how end-to-end encryption works and what that means for you guys on your end as well as the user? Yeah.
Well, what that means is end-to-end encryption means that actually nobody but the recipient can actually decrypt that message. And the beauty of that is that Proton as a company also cannot decrypt that message. And this is good for both security and privacy. Number one, if a government were to ask us for that, well, we can't actually give up that information because we cannot hand over to the government something that we don't have. But number two, if a hacker were to break into our systems, guess what? It's also not there. Because you cannot steal from us something that we ourselves do not have. And that's why end-to-end encryption, it's the strongest guarantee. Some people say, but maybe there can be a strong terms and conditions and a good national legislation that can protect you. Well, laws can change. Companies can get bought and sold. I think there was a famous example of a gay dating app that got sold to the Chinese, right? And then all of a sudden, everybody who was in the closet, now the Chinese knew, right? Things like that can happen. So you don't want to trust that a company isn't going to be sold. You don't want to trust that the law isn't going to change because it could change. The only thing that I really trust in, and I think users can trust in, is I trust the laws of mathematics. Because it doesn't matter who wins the next election, the laws of math are not changing. And that's encryption. That's the power of encryption to protecting your data.
So when you started Proton Mail in 2014, you had more than 10,000 people sign up initially. Like it was to the point where it was like it overloaded the tech that you guys had on the back end. Did you expect that kind of reaction from the public, people saying, hey, we need this? Or were you kind of surprised by the scale of it initially?
Well, at the time, the thinking was maybe this is sort of like something that just a few strange people like myself that care about privacy care about, right? So you don't think that it's a mainstream concept, but we built something that I myself wanted, and the initial beta users were all in CERN. So the first 1,000 users were actually just other CERN scientists. And at some point we said, well, we've built this. Why don't we open up to the world? And that was really the first moment that we realized, actually, the idea that that has kind of gotten us this far, that notion of being in control of your data and your identity. This is not sort of a niche idea that a few people with tinfoil hats have. It's something that actually a large segment of the population does care about. So that was really maybe the first moment that we realized. But really there was no plan, right? That first server fell over after 3 days because of too many users. So that kind of shows that there was no plan. And we had to learn quickly and adapt quickly.
Do you know how Proton initially got funded?
I feel like I cheated because I watched an interview about this.
But so you know the answer then?
Yes.
It's an Indiegogo campaign.
Yes. Okay. I won't take the thunder, but yes, it was because Andy likes to call Proton kind of like crowd-sourced and crowd-funded versus like the traditional business that, we need revenue growth and all these kinds of things, where you still need that. But like the heart of it and the heart of the company from the beginning was like, hey, this is our mission. This is like what we're trying to do. And people believed in it.
Yeah.
So I maybe took
No,
things
it
on
doesn't
the-
even take away from what I was
Sure.
going to say. I was just curious
But
if
yes,
you knew. 'Cause
I feel like I get a gold star for that.
you do, and I'll get you one after the pod.
Thank you.
But what's so fascinating to me about that is that so many companies nowadays are built on big money and venture capital, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
you have this wonderful thing that's built by the people that wanted it.
Yes.
And I can imagine that when you have 10,000 people donating to an Indiegogo campaign, that's when you start to realize, okay, it's not just the people with the tinfoil hats. There's actual there's
Yeah.
regular people out there that care about their privacy and want to have an alternative to being constantly tracked by Google online.
Yeah, it's that was maybe the first point where it was proven that actually privacy is valuable. Because if you give money to a crowdfunding campaign, then you assign a value. But the first 10,000 supporters, they weren't really normal folks either, let's say. Because you have to imagine sort of the thinking. The thinking is there's these guys that built a service that has fallen over after 3 days, right? They've never built anything before. And they're asking me to give money today for a service that may or may not arrive in the future. That's a pretty risky bet, actually.
Yeah.
And that's why, myself personally, but also here at the team at Proton, we're always very thankful and grateful for those people that, from the community, really took a very dangerous bet. And there were some people that even bought, a lifetime plan for a service that didn't have a
What?
lifetime yet. Yeah. Actually, we had lifetime plans as part of the,
And you
I'd
missed
love
out.
to-
And you missed
I've
out.
got the family plan, but
Yeah.
Well, no,
keep
you
going.
missed out.
Well, lifetime guys, people, they got their money's worth for sure.
Oh,
Oh, yes, they did.
Yeah, so I think it was a good deal for them. But can you imagine, paying $1,000 because that was the price? Actually, it was $997 because it was a prime number. Primes.
Oh, nice,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course.
You
Yeah.
like primes, right? Can you imagine paying that money, into a business that actually there wasn't even a company yet. It wasn't even incorporated, right? So it wasn't even clear who the money was going to. So that's kind of a crazy bet to make back then. But the consequence of that is we owe our existence to the community. And that is why, from everything that we do is for the community. And we are loyal to our community because, in fact, they were the ones that believed us at the very, very beginning when no VC or any investor would ever dare to have, invested in something like that. And that's why I say it's, Proton as a company, as a project, it really did come from the community. It was funded by the community, and it actually is for the community. And that history, I think, plays a big part in that.
I think another part about Proton that really shows how for the user and for the community you guys are is that the majority of this company is owned by a nonprofit corporation, which means that even if somebody who had the other 49% of the share wanted to defect and do something nefarious, I guess, by selling everybody's data, they literally couldn't do it because it's in the hands of the nonprofit.
Yeah. So the benefit of the nonprofit structure is it insulates Proton from kind of outside influence. So you're not going to have like a private equity firm. This is the typical thing that happens these days, right? You're not going to have a PE firm come in and say, we're going to take over this company and we're going to change the business model and do something different. So it's really the strongest possible legal guarantee for the community to ensure that the values of the business stay consistent over time. And I think that's something that's very important because we've seen companies bought and sold and change their, idea. Even Google at some point was don't do evil, right? If people, that was a long time ago. But
I think I was 4 years old when that was the Google slogan.
Yeah.
But you guys have, grown in a crazy way since the days of the Indiegogo campaign. You could talk about 10,000 to you're over 100 million users now, which is just this astronomical, incredible number. And you've also introduced more products other than just Proton Mail, stuff that is going to really allow people to de-Google their lives. And that's been a really hot button term in the last few years or so as people are really starting to look for their privacy. If you could give one reason to the person out there that is still on a Google account to switch over to Proton, what would that reason be? Real quick, I want to jump in here and say thank you so much to AnyDesk for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. We've been working with the guys at AnyDesk for a few years now, and they've really helped us take the fight to these scammers. I've also got to spend a lot of time with their team, and I can tell you that from the top down, these guys really do care about helping people.
They've done a ton to disrupt scam operations, and we've seen a really steady decline in the number of scammers using AnyDesk. What they're doing is working. So if you work in the IT space or you need reliable remote access software, you should definitely check them out. Their tools are top-notch, and they're always adding in brand new features to help boost your productivity. So once again, thank you so much to AnyDesk for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. Let's jump back into this conversation with Andy Yen.
If you could give one reason to the person out there that is still on a Google account to switch over to Proton, what would that reason be?
Well, I think the reason would be why not, right?
That's a great answer.
It's most of our users use Proton for free. We have a free plan because I don't think privacy should be a luxury good. I think it has to be something that is accessible to everybody. So it doesn't cost you anything to switch. If you can get more or less, most of the features that you need on Google, also there. If it can do the job that you needed to do, but it gives you privacy at the same time, why wouldn't you do it? And that's actually kind of our bet, right? I think if you go out there to anybody in the world and say, hey, if you could have the exact same thing that Google gives you without the creepy business model, who would say no to that?
Yeah.
And this is why I do think over time, our model of building tech that actually serves the best interest of the customers as opposed to exploiting customers, this is in the long run the winning model. It may take decades for it to win, but it is inevitable.
Well, I don't think it's any secret to anybody that's listening to this, but obviously you and I are huge fans of Proton. We use it at the office. I mean, use it in personal life as well. I'm curious if we have the same answer to this. Do you have a favorite feature of Proton Mail?
I love the encryption side in the privacy, like protecting yourself on email. But for me, password management is such a huge thing in cyber hygiene I talk about. And cyber hygiene to me is like, it's like brushing your teeth. Like if you don't brush your teeth, you're going to get cavities and you're going to have to pull your teeth out one day. And you don't want to get to that point where there's a breach and your password's out there and 1 became 20. So like, I love that aspect of the Proton Pass where I practice this all the time. Any new website, I'm using an alias.
The alias.
And then I'm using a random generated password. And sometimes it's so powerful that the websites themselves can't take it. So I have to drag.
Scale it back.
I have to scale it back.
Too many characters.
It's like too many random characters and stuff. So anyway, that
was a good way for you to agree with me because I was going to say hide my email aliases was also my favorite feature.
You also don't know how hard that was for me to stop talking. I could have kept going.
I know.
I'm like,
you are a streamer for a living.
Okay, I know.
Your whole job is to talk for extended periods of time.
I get to tell the guy that made this stuff how happy I am to use it.
I know.
Okay,
I mean, this is cool for both of us. We're like pretending like he's not here.
I know.
We're fangirling right now. We have to be cool.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
Be cool.
All right.
Okay.
Well, because like...
Yeah, I like the hide my email thing. It's like cool. Can you just, I know he kind of briefly explained it, but can you just explain how that works for someone that uses Proton Mail?
Well, I like it as well because we went so far as to find a company and acquire a company and work together with them. This is a simple login that joined Proton some years ago to bring that in, and I think that's what makes Proton Pass like a unique password manager. Is it has that functionality, which we were the first to have it. I think others have copied it since then, but we're still original, right? And probably the best at it because we're actually an email company, unlike these other companies, right? Yeah. But the realization is, if you get involved in a data breach, the fact that your password that you use for that site got leaked is not actually usually the worst thing. The site did its job properly. Maybe it was even hashed and your actual password isn't even out in plain text. And you know what? In the worst case, you go change some passwords, you're done. Problem solved. But if your email gets leaked, well, that really sucks because you can't change your email. Changing your email is really a pain in the ass. It's a difficult thing to do, right? So the fact that you can have a random alias generated for just one service, and if that service gets leaked, you know what? You disable the alias, you move on, you're done. That makes data breaches so much easier to handle. So I think it's a feature like I like as well, and it's really good because oftentimes you just don't trust most of these sites. Like you go to McDonald's, you want to use the Wi-Fi, you got to put in an email. You trust McDonald's to secure their data and keep your email safe. They're probably selling it the instant you put it in, right? So that's I think. So this is why I think it's a great feature, and this is something that people think about passwords, but for me, actually, I find the email alias feature more valuable within the password manager than the password management itself.
100%. I mean, it's literally, I have it written here that it's my favorite.
Yeah.
And I had a feeling that you and I would agree on that.
My wife has heard about the email alias around the dinner table many times. And then you can change it. All you have to do is click on this and it gives you like a random email and then you're good. Like I'm always talking about that. I think it's one of the best features.
She's heard it so many times that I'm looking at her
And she's
actively ignore
nodding.
you too. She's tuning it out. She's just already, she's tuned it out. So she's smiling over there.
But it's true. It's
yeah.
so good. And I think the last thing I'll say about it though is people inherently are afraid of changing.
Yes.
And I think that's the biggest thing that you will always have to sell is why change?
Yes.
Because I'm used to this process. And it's not even about dollars and cents a lot of time. It's just the whole process.
It's habit.
It's the habit.
It's habit.
But I'll tell you what, it's like switching from just doing free weights to like CrossFit or something.
Yes.
Which I don't do either of those right now.
I don't know if you can tell, but neither do I.
Yeah. So
Well, going back to the password manager a little bit outside of the email aliases and stuff like that, I feel like there's a huge misconception about password managers. I actually had a conversation with my dad about it over Christmas.
was it a good one? Did it end up with like throwing food at each other?
No. It was, it was a very polite conversation. Where I had said, I was coming out here and I was going to talk to you, and we were talking about password managers. And he goes, well, isn't a password manager only as secure as the password that you put on it? And I wonder if you had anything in response to that to say to my father. So Dad, listen up.
Well, he's partially correct.
Yeah.
You do need to put a secure password on your password manager, but I often say security is like an onion. There's many layers. There's never one thing that's completely secures you, right? So let's say you have a reasonably strong password, but actually, let's say you have a really bad password, like muffin 123 or something. Well, if you actually use a hardware token like a YubiKey to protect your password manager, then you could have the worst password in the world. But having that second factor authentication probably is still going to keep your data secure. So it's not about having every layer secure, but having multiple layers, and that combination is effective. So I think if you have a password manager with two-factor authentication, the odds of that password manager, an attacker getting in, is pretty low.
So I use Proton's authenticator.
Yes.
Do you suggest? Because I agree with the two-factor, and do you suggest the physical key versus like an because it's still physical if you have your phone with an authentication when the tokens are changing?
Yes.
What would you recommend? Because I agree with this, the physical, because they're both physical, but like a key or like an app, like an authenticator app. Or is it kind of the same?
It depends on your level of paranoia.
So let's just say high.
But I'll give you an example, right? Most people are very unlikely to get multiple devices breached.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, also, for example, have the apps and the 2FA installed on the same device because it's a pretty common thing to do.
Sure.
So from that perspective, a physical key is always going to be more secure. But that's expensive. That's a bit more complicated. Not everybody can manage that. And you could argue that maybe that is a level of security that most people don't need, right? For the typical threat profile that people have, just having 2FA already makes you a harder target than 99.9% of the population that doesn't have it.
Yeah, right.
So I think definitely take the first step with the 2FA authentication apps.
Yeah.
And if you're really paranoid, get the hardware key.
Okay. Knight uses the hardware key.
Knight's got a YubiKey.
Yeah.
One of the hackers that we work with. Knight. That makes sense actually that he has a YubiKey. I wouldn't even be surprised.
I've got one too, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's fair. And this is a shout out. Everyone who uses Proton, make sure you do not forget your password because you will not be able to get in. You can't email them and say, hey, give me my password. Yeah. It's very important.
Yeah, but we do have all recovery methods. So,
sure, yes.
So if you save your recovery phrase,
yes,
you do get in. Save your recovery phrase. I definitely suggest you do that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And if you still have the device in which you're logged in on in your physical possession, then actually it is also possible to recover as well. So there are, let's say, pretty sophisticated recovery methods to let you get in. But yes, best thing to do is not forget your password in the first place.
And don't write it on a sticky note on your computer either.
Was that a note to self that you were just making there?
That was for me. Okay.
Yeah, just
I've had to burn I have 2 different Proton accounts and they're different passwords, obviously.
Yeah.
And I've burned that into my brain.
Yeah. we have a user who wrote me once and said that actually he created his own, like, he took a metal plate and he etched his recovery phrase with acid, and then he just buried it in the forest behind his house.
Oh my gosh. Just in
so
case.
awesome.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that's actually a pretty secure way. Number one, no fire or natural disaster is ever going to destroy that.
Right.
No hacker's going to know where to dig. If they dig it up, they won't know what it's for.
Right.
It's actually pretty secure.
Yeah. If you know what it's for, then you know.
The Venn diagram of hackers that are also doing a lot of digging feels very small to me. Like,
Seven.
I like how you looked at Seven's only the digging. He's not hacking. Look at that guy. He's over there typing notes on Proton docs.
I don't want to completely derail.
No, go ahead.
But like, I just thought about this and I don't want to forget it.
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody wants to join the crypto gold rush, I guess, or whatever. And where do you see like the intersection of what you guys are doing around privacy and like crypto? Because there's a lot of people that in my opinion, kind of overlap because they don't trust like the monetary system and things like that. Do you see Proton playing in that space, whether it's, I don't know, like being a market in the crypto space or just helping to protect people's assets? Like, where do you see that? Because I know you have some offerings around that.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
But like,
I
where
have
do you
news for
see
you?
that going? Because I think there's a bigger play in the future.
Yes.
But-
So we've launched Proton Wallet, which is a
Yeah.
Bitcoin wallet, and that's probably part of the reason the guy bought a metal plate, etched his recovery phrase, and buried it in his backyard. Right? I'm not sure if that's why he did it, but maybe that's why he did it.
Yeah.
But there is a Bitcoin wallet that is built into Proton that is there. And we try to make the most secure software wallet that you could have with full end-to-end encryption. It's non-custodial, so there's no central holding of Bitcoin that someone can hack.
Yeah.
We have no access to people's funds, I think, which is also very important. But crypto in general, I would also make a distinction between Bitcoin and crypto.
Sure.
Because I think they're not exactly the same. The challenge with crypto is, of course, it has very interesting values. And the idea of self-sovereign money that you fully control that cannot be frozen by central bank, that's something that we subscribe to as well. And also a lot of our users also subscribe to that because they're from Venezuela, they're from Iran, they're from Russia.
Yeah.
Crypto is often the way out, right? I think I heard a story about actually a user that was from Afghanistan, during the fall of the government when Taliban took over, right? Well, he had all his savings in Bitcoin, so all his physical assets, were lost.
Right.
But he crossed the border with his seed phrase in his mind,
Wow.
and he had all of his wealth still. Right.
Wow.
So this is a kind of example of how Bitcoin and crypto does have a real utility. Sure. On the flip side of the coin, I would say, unfortunately, maybe something like 90% of the crypto space is probably scams.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, very unfortunate.
Sure.
It's really a problem. It's people have taken what was a great idea for custodying money and protecting people's money, and they have really made it into a get-rich-quick scheme and defrauded a bunch of people that were very easily fooled to giving billions to these scams.
Yeah.
And I think that's really a travesty. And that has sort of given crypto a bad reputation, which it's going to take a long time to recover from.
I think they just need to eliminate crypto ATMs. That would be nice. We run across so many scams where that's like the final thing is they get grandma to take all the money out of her account and then go to a crypto ATM and send it to a wallet and then it's gone. So if they take
Having
away
them
those,
so easily accessible in a gas station, I think is
it's
to me the same thing as like how they have slot machines in gas stations.
But oftentimes, like, it's not even trickery. It's not that they have tricked somebody, although there's cases of that, of course.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of, let's say, the money that was quote unquote stolen in crypto was really preying on people's basic feeling of greed. It was
pump and dump.
It was
sure.
invest in this thing because it's going to go up and it's going to make you rich and you can get rich quick without doing any work.
100%.
And then of course getting rug pulled afterwards.
Right.
And so it's like, if you want to prevent scams, there's ways you can teach people not to don't answer the call, don't give your information over the phone, blah blah, all that stuff, right? but you can't rewire people not to be greedy. And that is that is why most of the crypto scams were so successful, because it preyed on a basic human instinct of greed.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. In like cybersecurity, it was always the human element.
Yes.
Like with phishing attacks and things like that, it's like you could put so many barriers in place, but if somebody does a spear phishing attack and they know all these specific things about the person to get them to click on something, like what are you going to do? Like it's that human factor, whether it's greed or whatever it may be.
Exactly. But you know, no one wants to get phished.
Right.
But there are plenty of people who want to invest in crypto
Exactly.
because they want to get rich.
Exactly.
And they don't get rich, right? They get scammed.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, you know, they took the money out of the account and they sent it over to the person and they didn't get what they thought they were going to get and they got scammed. But do you see, I guess a follow-up, something that went in my mind, do you see, because you got like with technology and with advancements, there's going to be that good and then the bad. Like with crypto, for instance, it could be used for amazing things like the story, the guy from Afghanistan, and then it could be used for money laundering or whatever it may be. Do you see people trying to utilize, like, are you guys able to catch bad actors trying to even use your platform, right? Like, do you have like internal security where you're like, hey, we're catching people trying to use our stuff for bad, you know, because it's a great technology. And with it, everything being encrypted, people probably want to try to hide. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. I didn't see, but in the case of crypto, and let's take Bitcoin as an example, because that's the most commonly used crypto. I don't think from, let's say, a crime perspective, an abuse perspective, it's actually worse than cash. It's not worse than cash. And cash is completely legal tender that's been around for ages.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say Bitcoin is less anonymous and less private than cash. Everything you do is on an immutable read-only public ledger.
Right.
So literally every transaction is on the blockchain.
Yeah.
Whereas cash, truly untraceable.
Sure.
Right? So people say, oh, you know, we need to ban crypto because it's used in crime, blah, blah. But that's the same as saying, if you want to ban crypto, you might as well ban cash first, because it's much more, it's much more bigger risk of facilitating crime than, Bitcoin.
Right.
And this is why I think it's important to have a balance, right? The reason we have cash is because we think it is important as a society to have anonymous payments, to have a certain level of privacy. And you will pay a price of having potentially some misuse and some crime as a result of that. But that is much better than the alternative, which is to say, we're going to have a society of no privacy, no freedom, and maybe no crime.
Right.
That society is called North Korea, and people are not really lining up to go live there.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting. It's like, I'm going to do this whole crypto thing because, I'm like super secure. It's all private, but every transaction's out on the blockchain and you can see everything. And,
How do you respond to people who say that private communication tools like Proton allow bad actors to use the platform in nefarious ways?
It's definitely something that can happen. But, bad actors also use Twitter/X. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram. They use Gmail as well. Actually, they use Gmail far more often than they use, Proton, to be honest. And it's a bit like, trucks can also be used by terrorists in attacks, and they often are. But trucks also transport goods and are essential for our world to work. So the way I look at this is really, yes, any technology can be misused. But if we ban all tech that can be misused, we would ban basically everything. And the freedom of the press that enables, the protection of democracy, the protection of activists, the protection of basic fundamental human rights. I think these are things that far greatly outweigh some of the negatives that can come by having these technologies around.
It's interesting. One thing with that is like in the security space, it's like an antivirus that like every file is either good or bad. And that's not because hackers could use something that's inherently good on Windows, for instance, and use it to do something malicious like PowerShell. And then you can't ban everyone from using PowerShell because a hacker's used it before. So it's a hard scenario because it's like, you could have a bad actor that wants to protect themselves from any type of knowledge. Hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. But the good, in my opinion, outweighs the bad. But it is something that's very interesting to think about.
And this is the balance. So, in a democracy, you have a room of 100 people. And there's, one criminal in there, but you don't know which one. You let the whole room go, right? In North Korea, you have one criminal room of 100. They're going to shoot all 100 of them just to be on the safe side.
Sure, right. Yeah.
That's the difference between democracy and autocracy. And if you want to live in democracy, we need to tolerate that there is going to be some level of crime that we're not able to catch. But we tolerate that price because the price of freedom, of democracy, of due process, that is much more valuable.
Sure.
And so it's not black and white, and there's definitely a trade-off. But I think the trade-off that is worth making.
Well, we can also go back to some of the other stuff that Proton does that we haven't gotten to talk about yet. Like, for example, Seven over there he's currently taking notes about this podcast on Proton Docs. Why do you see having the ability to have a secured document as something that's important for people that use Proton?
That's a great point.
Well, actually, it's not so much my opinion.
Really?
It's opinion of the user base, in fact. Because remember, we build for the community. We don't have VC investors. We're not being paid by advertisers. It's actually just the users who use our service that pay us. And if they say, Andy, we want you to build this, well, if enough of them say it, then we build it. And quite a few people did ask for a docs, but actually where this came from was a lot of the users on our platform, which are journalists. It got to a certain point where, let's say you're doing an investigation on, let's say at the US government, or maybe even on Google Big Tech. Are you really going to do that investigation on a Google Doc where Google or the federal government can subpoena that information and see what you're doing in real time? No, it's absurd. And so Proton Docs, it's Google Docs. It's collaborative live editing, but it's end-to-end encrypted. We don't have the ability to actually see anything that's written there, any of the edits. We don't even know who's editing it, actually. And I think that's an essential tool for journalism, essential tool for our society. And it's also something that a lot of our users want. They want to migrate from Google. They use Google Docs. They can't use Google Docs anymore. When they come to Proton, now they use Proton Docs. So we had to provide an alternative that makes it possible to come onto our ecosystem and still get some of the functionality that Google gets. So we also launched a Proton Sheets recently as well to replace Google Sheets.
Yeah, we have that exact use case in our office because we do scripting and stuff like that. And we had to, because we had Proton, but then we had to go and make Google accounts to be able to do Google Docs. Yeah. But now that there are Proton Docs, we can just use that, or even Sheets as well. So now we will just share it amongst each other. And that's a really great part because it's encrypted. It's secure. That nobody has randomly out on the internet can get access to it.
Yes. And it's also open source, so you can verify that it's encrypted and it's secured. And the privacy guarantees, are not just hey, believe us, but you can actually go and verify it.
Right. Yeah.
The point that you made about people on the internet just randomly being able to access docs is, I think, such a great point because, there are so many files that people have stored in Google Drive that they probably don't even know are public access. Yeah. It's so easy to go to Google
with this link.
Yeah, anyone with this link, you can, use very specific searches.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably, hundreds of thousands of movies on Google Drive that people have uploaded that you can find pretty easily for free on Google. But that also goes for people's personal files that they don't know are up. And the great thing about Proton is that literally is not going to happen because it's all encrypted.
Yeah. But it's an option, right? So if you want to make a public document on Proton Docs, you actually can.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it's still encrypted, of course. And of course, you can also say, I want to give access only to these people.
Yes.
So there's let's say a very robust security controls there. And again, what we do differently is, Google is everything is not private by default.
Yeah. Exactly.
And Proton has a stance of we want to be private by default. And I think defaults also matter.
Do you guys have a user group? You're saying that all this is, all these ideas come from the user base. So where does that come from? Do they email you Andy at
they
Proton?
They email Andy personally.
How does that work? Just curious because
so they do email me personally.
Yeah.
I also get from some of our older customers physical letters. I get one or two
red ink or something hey, I'm so upset. Literally writing physical letters, huh?
Yeah. Well, a lot of times they're typed up, but they're sent in the mail.
Gotcha. So they're very paranoid then.
Yeah. I've also gotten the handwritten ones as well.
Yeah.
We also have people, It can be on LinkedIn, it can be on Twitter, it can be on Reddit. We're on all social media platforms.
Yeah.
And also our support team. People can send support tickets in.
Gotcha.
They send in, actually, we have probably millions of tickets in our system now over the years. And we collect all the feedback. Everything is categorized. We know how many times something has been asked for, down to the exact number of times it's been requested.
Cool.
And it's all sorted. So we know what is the biggest thing the community wants at any given moment in time.
Follow up from that, just because like my tech software side is like coming out right now. Sorry, as I'm thinking about this. I would assume, being the size of company that you're a lot more agile to be able to put out newer feature and functionality. What's kind of that ramp up time? Hey, we have this idea. A lot of the users have been asking for it, like Sheets or something. How quickly do you guys, on average, build something out to market, if that makes sense, from a software standpoint?
It depends a lot on the product and also the team. And I'll give you an example. If you want to roll out, a new feature on something like, Mail that has millions and millions of users around the world, some of them using very old devices, you got to be very careful.
Sure.
Because if you have something that impacts just, 0.01%, multiplied by a very big number, that's still a big number.
Yeah, 100%.
And so the velocity in which we move does depend sometimes on the maturity of the product and kind of what is at stake. And there are certain products that we just have to be much more careful compared to others who can go a little bit faster.
Makes sense.
In terms of launching new things out, it also depends a lot about the complexity of the feature. Docs, we got out kind of relatively quick. Sheets took a lot longer because it's just fundamentally a more complicated product. So I think complexity definitely impacts the time to market on some of these things.
Okay.
And I think the last factor also is sometimes just demand, right? If there's something where there's massive demand, a lot of pressure from the community to do it, then we'll just put more people on it to get it done faster.
Sure.
And things that are maybe a little bit less high priority, they still get done, but they take long to get done because maybe it's 1 or 2 engineers working on it for a year or two, as opposed to 10 people working on it, for a few months. Now, there's a limit to that as well.
Yeah.
As the saying goes, 9 women cannot get pregnant in 1 month.
Sure.
Right. So there's also, let's say, limitations there as well. But it is going to become, I think, it will take longer to get new things out because in the early days, Proton, our users were kind of nerds and geeks, right?
Sure.
If something didn't look nice and broke a little bit, they were okay with it.
Right.
They didn't really mind.
Right.
They probably knew what we did wrong in the code and maybe make a pull request to fix it, right?
Right.
That was sort of early Proton. Nowadays, it's quite a mainstream product. People are coming from Google, where the quality actually is quite high.
Sure.
So the bar gets higher on each product that we release. And that does mean that we need to take a bit more time to polish before we put things out.
Yeah, it's that maturity of the product and then that expectation level.
Yeah.
And then the customer maybe becomes a little bit noisier, if they don't like something.
Yes.
Just like the YouTube comment section.
Yes.
There's a lot of parallels.
It's exactly like that.
Right.
Like that, yes.
So it's like you want to make everybody happy. And then it's like, I just gave you this, the analogy for me is like you guys give this beautiful like Sheets or something, and then they're mad because they can't right click and add a cell the way that they are used to. It's a little bit different, and then they're super upset about that. So,
but also it's usually like we put out something and then they complain about something completely unrelated not being available, right? And I completely understand it because your preferred feature didn't come out in this cycle,
right.
and you're a bit annoyed. But it's everybody has a different preference of the order in which we release things. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to, it is mathematically impossible to meet everybody's preference.
Sure. Right. For sure.
I'm just thinking about this idea of you getting YouTube comments mailed to you.
Oh my
The way
gosh.
that he's getting all the suggestions mailed to you. Because some of the stuff that they write in there.
Yeah.
Why is your hair blue? But just in
It's
a letter.
always-
Imagine if that showed up in a letter to our office.
it's-
Why is my hair blue?
It's always about the hair.
But actually, actually, why is the hair blue?
That's a great question.
Yeah, there you go.
So when I quit my career it was December 2020, I kind of joked about it that I was like, oh, I'm going to color my hair just like that I'm my own boss. I can do whatever I want to do. And so I did it. And it was like part celebration. You know, I can do whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's other YouTubers that have colored hair and all those kinds of things. And then it just kind of stuck, and it had to stay with me because it was like a marketing thing.
Yeah.
It became,
now it's your persona.
Yeah. It was like became part of the persona. And like even thumbnails that have my hair like super bright and blue and all the stuff, people click on them. And so it just became my thing. And, you know,
you're blue now.
I forget that I have blue hair a lot of times, and I see people staring at me. I'm like, oh, that's what it is, you know? But
and I think it's different for you guys because, you know, on YouTube, you're very visible. So I think you get comments mailed to you, but you probably also get comments in real life, just on the train at the airport, walking around, right?
For sure. Yeah. People give their feedback. They're very happy to give their feedback on what they like or don't like or whatever. And that's fine. Like that's part of the customer experience, is you want the feedback so you can make it better. You would much rather hear some type of feedback, good or bad, than nothing.
Yes.
Because then, you know, it's just kind of an echo chamber of our stuff is so great, you know?
Yeah. And this is what I tell the team. I said, like, yes, it's annoying to read some of the comments sometimes. And to be honest, some of the comments are kind of hateful and abusive sometimes. You know, and not all of them, but some of them, right?
Yeah.
But I told people, like, it's still better to have those comments than nothing. Because if they took the time to write you that nasty comment, it means they care.
100%.
And the moment they stop caring is actually when we cease to matter.
Yeah. That's a great point.
The opposite of love isn't hate, it's apathy.
Yeah.
Or not caring at all, right? So
Yes.
it's better to have people that care so much that they'll say those horrible things than it is.
In this space, privacy space, there's a lot of people that care too. So it's a very, when you're bringing that value in this space, it's like life and death for a lot of people.
Yeah. So for the community, I just tell them, like, you know, send me the comments. I'm happy to read them. I actually read all of them. I don't respond to all of them because I cannot respond to all of them, but we do read them. Try to keep it constructive. It's better if you do. But if it's not constructive, we'll take it as well. And then in the end, we are here to serve, you know, people in the community. We are here to serve society. And if you make a request of us, we will do everything in our power to do it, because that actually is our obligation.
That's cool. That's really cool to hear from a CEO.
Yeah, I was going to say,
like, hey,
it's always nice when you can tell that the company, and not just the person, even not just the person at the top, right, has a clear mission and wants to care about the people that are using the product and not use the people as the product, right? Because that's the case with so many other big tech companies, is you are the product of their company, whereas in this case, it's like, no, I'm a user, and, you know, my opinion is valued, and my privacy is respected.
Well, and when I think about Proton, I think about the word disruption, because there was a market that was just already there. And then you have a disruptor coming in and like flipping it and saying, hey, no, I know this is how it's always been, but we're going to change the game here. And that's where you get innovation. That's where you get movement, is like this disruption of the status quo of like, no, it doesn't have to be like this. Like your data doesn't have to be sold and all these kinds of things. So that's a cool mission to have, and to continue down that path of, it's like protecting people. It's protecting freedom of speech and all that kind of stuff, and our privacy.
Where do you see the future of people's privacy heading? Do you think people are starting to become more conscious of the fact that their privacy is being violated?
Yeah, I think when we started 10 years ago, if I were to ask people on the street, you know, how Google, Facebook makes money, maybe 1 in 10 knew the correct answer. Today is not a 10 in 10 today, but it's probably maybe 5, maybe 6. You know, I used to say 4, but I think it's like 5 or 6 now. AI kind of helps because you realize like, oh, this is just a massive data vacuum cleaner that's sucking up all my data, right? Yeah. And it's interesting because we're in an industry where our biggest competitors are doing our marketing for us through sort of their misdeeds, right? And I think that's nice to a certain extent. But then now, you know, these tech companies are also engaging in what I call privacy washing, where they're trying to redefine what privacy means to claim that they're private, and they're putting, you know, billions behind that, right? So, you know, when Apple tells you they're private, well, they're not really private, but they have all these billboards they spent billions on telling you. At some point, that does sink in as well. Wow. So I think it's dangerous because privacy is being redefined on one side. So my worry is not really that privacy goes away. My bigger worry for the future is that privacy means something completely different for the next generation than maybe it did for us or the people that came before us. And that is how I see privacy being attacked. It's not that they're trying to erase a concept, although Zuck tried, right? Zuck said 10 years ago, privacy is no longer a social norm. Then he backtracked a few years later and said privacy is all about Facebook. But it's not true, right? So it's really the shifting goalpost of what privacy means that I think is the biggest threat. And the only way to, I think, fight back about that is we need to make privacy accessible and easy. We need to make it so that it is as good as a non-private equivalent, so there is no excuse not to use it. And that's really, I think, our mission and what we want to try to achieve in the next couple of years. So that means more products, but also better products. And what I tell people is my kind of hope in the long run is I want our products to get to the stage where even if it wasn't private, you would still use it because it's simply better. And I think we can actually do that because Google needs to optimize their features for what is best for advertisers. But I can optimize my features for what is best for users. In the long run, that will lead to a better user experience.
I have a few friends who care shockingly little about their privacy. I would say to a degree that is almost concerning to me. How do you convince somebody that says, whoever has my data can have my data, I don't care? How do you convince that person that they should switch the way that they run their life?
Well, the person that says that actually is not even true when they say that they don't care. They say that, but then you dig it deeper. Like, I'm sure that person, I hope that person closed the door when he's using the bathroom, right? He probably has curtains on his windows. And if you ask him for his email password, he probably wouldn't give it to you. So everybody that tells you, I don't care about my privacy, to be frank, they're lying. And I think the reason that we can tell is because privacy, it's innately part of being human. If you're a human being, you have actually a certain need for privacy. Even animals have a need for privacy, right? You take a dog or a cat, there's certain moments where they want to be private. So I think, people that say that, it's simply not true. And they will eventually realize that they do need privacy. And privacy also is not something that is, absolute. There are parts of our lives that we're happy to share. You're happy to go on YouTube. Other people are happy to post on social media. That's part of our life. But the problem with the web today is we default to everything being not private, where the reality is there are some parts that are public and other parts of our lives which must stay private. And so I think anybody that tells you they don't care about privacy, they don't care about data, you can ask them if they will give you, their email password and their computer password. They're going to say no, and you're going to say, well, you see, you do care about something, right? And you won't care about everything, but I think it's fundamental for society that there are certain aspects where you still get a guarantee of privacy, or at least the option to have the privacy.
Yeah. You said that you keep track of what the most asked for things are. You guys have a tally of what everything has been asked for. So I'm just curious, if there's anything that you guys are working on right now that maybe you would like to say anything about, or if there's anything that we can get a little bit of a sneak preview on?
I can't give too much away,
sure.
But I will say that Linux Drive is not the top of the list yet, but it's working its way up.
There you go. You have anything else that you want to ask him while we're here? I mean, we came all the way out here. Now's the time. You're going to have to write him a letter if you don't ask it now.
I know. No, I mean, I think... We use it in the office all the time. I use it at home with my family. I think there's such great value in taking back your privacy, like whether it's in your business, small business, or at home. And I just keep it up, I guess. Just keep innovating and keep fighting that fight, because I think it's extremely important. And whatever we can do to help make it easier for people to understand, I think that's the big pushback, is like, we've always done it this way, like, what is all this stuff? So making it easy for people to take back their privacy, because I think people know that it's important, but they don't know how to get there to the end result. And that's why I try to tell people, like, it's just as easy as doing this and doing this. And I get so excited about it, because it's such a fundamental thing. And that's what you were saying earlier, is like, people they know it's important, but they don't think it's like fundamental. Because if you think it's fundamental, like to lock your doors at night, then you'll lock your doors at night, or turn on your security at your house. And just the same with like protecting your email. Like, it's tied to our identities. This is like a huge problem. And we have one company that's like controlling our identity. And it's like they're going to know when we took money out of our bank at which ATM because they know where we're going to, and they know what we post on social media, and they know all of our Yelp reviews, and they know every email we've sent and every email we've received, and it's pretty crazy. So we need to take it back, is what So I applaud what you and your team and your company are doing, and we're here to support it 100%. That wasn't really a question. That was more like a
I
don't have any
flowers.
I don't have anything to ask. I don't know. It's like
You don't have to have anything to ask. I just wanted to
I
know.
kind of asked everything as we went through. I think.
No, but I think honestly, what you do is super important because as you mentioned, as you said, a big part of the challenge is awareness, is letting people realize what is going on in the world, because the uneducated person cannot take action.
Yeah.
But once you know, then you have a chance to take back your privacy, take back your digital life, and be in charge of everything, all your data out there.
Yeah.
And that is actually the key to empowering people, is making sure that they know. So I think the role that you play in getting the word out there, that's hugely important. We're very glad to have your support, and for you and everybody else who are our users, let us know how we can do better, because ultimately, we serve you and nobody else.
Sure.
Well,
hopefully we get like a direct line to the Proton team now as we go through features.
I shouldn't say this on YouTube, but my email is not that hard to guess.
Sure. Oh yeah.
I think P said it at some point in the middle of
I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. I was just saying it like facetiously. So
I got to say,
don't be upset with me.
I don't have anything else to ask.
Why do I feel like he hit the email that I said is just an alias, so he can just change it anyway?
Well, of course.
Like he has his own.
Yeah, he's got a super secret one.
Yeah.
Scammer payback fan at proton.me.
Why isn't it like YN or YDNA?
Oh, he's going all the way backwards.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm really worried about is that Google owns YouTube, and that this is going to get smacked as soon as it comes out. They're like, Andy Yen, get that out of here.
Well, I don't know. It's kind of funny, but we have a YouTube channel now as well. So if you're watching, you want to check out Proton on YouTube. There's a Proton YouTube channel, and it's actually done all right. I'm waiting for I'm waiting for it to get censored, but so far it's been okay.
It's going to be like the graphs of Proton users in Russia. It's going to be like that, and then oh no, so they found out about the YouTube channel.
They found us.
Yeah. All right.
That's funny.
So subscribe when you still can, right?
Yes, exactly. That's a great point. Subscribe before it goes away.
Yep.
All right. Are we good?
That's all I have. I appreciate you spending some time with us, and we'll keep fighting the good fight.
Good. Thanks a lot. It's good to have you guys here.
We good? Are we out?
Yeah. Can I submit a bid for Proton Maps?
Oh,
Proton Maps?
Oh, wow.
I've been talking about that for ages. No one wants to build it.
I told you. I said that to him last night. I said, who would want to do that? I said it'd be too difficult.
It's okay. But actually, this is a company where if it's hard, people actually want to do it. So I'm sure there's no shortage of people that want to do it. But it's expensive. I'm waiting for the self-driving cars to come around so we can do the street view for a lot less.
Oh, yeah, because you don't have to pay someone to drive the car.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Seven is an excellent
Seven
drone
loves doing
pilot.
drones.
He's only hit one major building in Tampa, Florida.
Hey guys, just wanted to pop in here right at the end and let you know about Born Private. This is Proton's brand new initiative, and it's essentially going to allow parents to reserve a Proton account for their kids. That way, when they grow up, they're not going to automatically be giving away all their data and personal information to Silicon Valley. So if you want to learn more about it, go to Proton's website right now. And thank you guys so much for watching this podcast. It really means the world to me. This has been Daniel with Scammer Payback saying don't get scammed.